talk about the year 2024 and 2025. I feel like lately we've been having, I'd say, a resurgence of horror icons coming onto the big screen. Like we had Nosferatu, and now we are having what? Wolfman.
Yeah, that horror has definitely been a big trend lately, and with Wolfman, it's definitely it's under the Universal banner. They're trying to go for the classic feel after their Avenger like world they tried to do in the 2010s.
Right, the one with Tom Cruise playing the mummy, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So it's like almost as if they're like rebooting it, like like a quiet reboot. They're slowly bringing out every single movie, and they're like, hey, let's do a vampire movie. Let's do a Wolfman. I think they have a Frankenstein, or is it? There's another one that's in the works that's coming out soon.
Invisible Man?
Well, yeah, they did Invisible Man first, which was awesome. Now, let's talk a little bit about Wolfman. Let's start with the director, right? Leigh Whannell directs this and also is a writer for this. Offhand, I did not know anything that this man has done, except when I looked into it, I realized he directed, he wrote The Invisible Man, and he was part of Insidious and Saw franchises.
Right, with his good friend James Wan.
Right, so that was pretty cool. Now, Pancakes, give us your overall thoughts on what you thought of the movie.
I thought it was very mixed, very slow burn.
Yeah.
But the jump scares were there. That were really good. It was definitely scary when you saw which version of the Wolfman jumped out with a werewolf, making it family centric to the story they were trying to tell. But it just dragged so much until we got to the best parts. I know the movie was under 2 hours, and we had an hour 43, maybe it was. But I just couldn't use more action. But it definitely delivered, definitely in the horror department. And like I mentioned in the short, when we saw it, it hits all the horror, oh, don't go in there, don't go in that house, don't go that way.
Yeah. Yeah, I look, I totally agree with you. It was such a slow burn. But I kind of understand why, because you're building up to the fact that, remember, it's a horror movie. You shouldn't just have jump scares in the first 3 seconds of a movie, right? So the fact that it was a bit of a slow burn and then it started to progressively get better and better and better, yeah, I mean, it's a horror flick. You need that, right? So I thought it was good. I enjoyed the movie thoroughly. I thought it was great. Julia Garner as the wife, our future Silver Surfer, right?
That is correct.
I felt like she did a great job. It was entertaining. No kids were harmed in the making of this, or like in Nosferatu where they're dying. But overall, I really think the movie was great.
But also pretty predictable as well.
Well, I mean, it's a horror movie, right?
Yeah, you called it like when the father, played by Sam Jagger, was missing and he was declared dead, and then you have this mysterious creature wandering in the woods. It's like, oh, let's go back to the house and cabin. And then this creature's mysteriously, like, we both looked at each other. I think you said at first, like, it's definitely the dad.
Yeah, 100% it was the dad. And sure, it was predictable, but to get to that part, it kind of felt slightly exciting, if that even makes sense.
I guess so, yeah.
Like you know where it's going and what's happening, but when you get to that level, you're like, oh wow, okay, cool. This is awesome. So
like one part that was intriguing is when after Christopher Abbott's character Blake gets infected, and then you see the slow transformation, and then he fights his father werewolf,
right?
And they're, I think, and this whole alpha battle, like there's only room for one of us.
Yeah, which I
you didn't like.
I didn't like that, and this is in the Highlander, right? There can only be one. And
yeah, of course.
I was kind of annoyed by it, But at the same time, it's like, well, the Wolfman has to fight somebody. They can't fight humans because obviously the humans would lose,
Right.
right? So I guess to have the father as the adversary in this
Yeah.
was it made sense.
Uh, I like the camera view from the point of perspective as we saw Blake evolve. You, go ahead.
No. Go ahead. I
I
have something
mean,
to say about that because that
I
was a weak
think
point to me.
yeah, and he's basically losing his motor skills. Like he's trying to call for help, but
Right. His speech, yeah.
his speech. But what we're gonna say about those effects?
They were nice. They were great. The only issue with it I have is like they they showed it whenever they wanted to, and it wasn't cohesive, right? It's like, oh, let's show it here, but not the reverse way. Like it was very weird. Like I don't know how to explain it. Like they showed it at times when you're like, this doesn't need to be here. It was like I personally felt like it was all at the wrong time. So had they done it at the right time, sure, but it never went anywhere.
Yeah.
Like you didn't quite get it. So to me, it was like a little like nah, like a nothing berry almost.
Like going back to the family aspect of it in the beginning, you could tell that the mother and the daughter weren't really that close. She was more of a daddy's girl, and she was closer
Right.
to the dad. But they have to. Charlotte and Ginger have to come together as their beloved father and husband. Is dealing with this disease that's going quickly and changing how he is, and he becomes a threat to them. Even though he initially defends them and fights off his father, werewolf, he becomes one of them.
Which to me came out to be something like one of those tropes that my love is so strong that I will not attack my kid and I will protect my kid. Like they said that through the course of the whole movie, right? They were talking. He's like, I'm always going to be there to protect you. Blah blah blah. Like I get that, but when you're being possessed or infected, or depending on how you look at it, right?
Right.
I don't think you're losing your basic ability to speak, and now you're thinking more animalistic. And I don't feel like the father should have that ability to, whoa, I'm going to stop and I'm not going to hurt my kid. I feel like you would lose that in the transition.
One thing I'll give him credit for is the makeup job they did on him, the slow transformation.
Yeah.
That looked really good. They nailed it, the look for the werewolf for this movie.
Right.
I thought Blake's looked way better than his dad's as the younger, more alpha werewolf.
Right.
But overall, I was in the middle. Like, it's not worth the theater trip. I think just wait till it's available on streaming. Like, Slow Burn just not almost killed it for me, but it had its positive moments.
I agree. So the question goes out to you guys. What do you guys think? Did you see it? Did you like it? Did you hate it? Do you feel like they're creating the evil Avengers out in the Universal, and they're trying to make their own cinematic universe? Let us know in the comment section down below.